All right, so you know that this year our big theme is around the power of platforms. And I wonder, for Facebook, how do you think it's most interesting as a platform? And that could be different for developers and for consumers.
Right. Well, I think the real power is in the people, right? The reason it's such an amazing product is it has all of the users. And that's also what makes it an amazing platform, right? Is it brings that same power, all those people, to other websites. So when I go somewhere, I have the potential to connect with my friends on other sites.
Yeah, yeah. Have you talked to developers particularly about how they think of it as a platform, how it's appealing to them or challenging for them for
Right.
other kinds of platforms?
Yeah, certainly. I am involved with quite a few different startups, so I talked to them. But also, we had our own startup, as you mentioned, FriendFeed, which used the Facebook platform. And it was honestly like kind of a mixed experience because it was a fairly complex API. Some of the terms are a little bit confusing. But those are actually some of the things that we saw last week, or 2 weeks ago, at F8 with the new Open Graph API that was repaired, essentially. So there's a new API that's very easy to use. The caching restrictions have gone away. And a lot of that actually did come out of our experience using the API at FriendFeed.
Interesting. Can you just explain what the Social Graph API is for those who might not know the Open Graph?
It's a very simple, kind of REST-y API that makes it easy to access all of the information in Facebook, obviously with appropriate permissions. And it does it through very simple URLs, JSON. It's browsable, it's discoverable, and it's very easy to develop on. And so it's the same information, the same functionality that was in the API for the most part previously, but it's made to be much easier for developers to work with. So you don't need to be a Facebook developer. You're just more of a web developer, and you can pick up this new thing very quickly. You can integrate it into your site with without spending months learning the intricacies of the Facebook development platform.
Right. So you mentioned permissions, which is a hot topic. Let's get that one out of the way. Let's talk about privacy on Facebook a little bit. How do you think about it? How do you use it?
Well, the way I use it, I actually changed my privacy settings to be more public because I didn't. That was kind of one of my other things with Facebook because I like the ability to share things with people easily, and so I set everything to be everyone except my phone number and email because I didn't want random people calling me. But and that again connects back, I guess, with a lot of my experience using FriendFeed and a lot of the kind of surprising benefits of just sharing things with the world, and there's a lot of serendipity. You don't really know what you're going to get back. I'll post a link, and most of the time there's nothing there, but a lot of times maybe I post an interesting article and someone will recommend a book that I should read, and so I'll go buy that book. And I've just made a lot of interesting discoveries, and I think it's very hard to predict the value that comes out of those things, but when I look back at a lot of the things that have been really important to my life and things that have mattered a lot, they were very unpredictable. It was just because something random happened. And so I think by opening ourselves up a little bit more and allowing for more serendipity and more connection with other people, things just automatically tend towards being better.
Yeah, Tim O'Reilly used the phrase the other day that we're trying to maximize the surface area of serendipity. That was
Exactly.
a great way to put that.
Yeah.
So do you know if Zuckerberg's settings, his privacy settings on Facebook, are the default settings?
I don't know if he has the defaults or not, but if you go to his page, I think it's facebook.com/Zuck, it looks like it's mostly public, so I don't know if he changed it or if that's the default.
So you've been at the forefront of some big communication developments on the web, both Gmail and FriendFeed. And I wonder, I'd like to hear what you think might be coming next, what you see that's emerging, that's interesting. But before we do that, I wonder if you could help people understand what was really significant about FriendFeed, because I think it's important and not everybody might know.
So FriendFeed was really based around these ideas of making it very simple to share things and very simple to interact with those shared items. So like the liking, which seems to be popping up everywhere these days. I'm not going to claim that we invented it, but I can't remember seeing it anywhere else. And it came back to that desire, and it was very much just our own personal experience using the product. We'd share something, or someone would share something, and you just want to make a little notation. You just want to let people know you saw it and that you appreciated it. And you don't necessarily have anything intelligent to say, so you don't want to leave a comment. And so just putting in those simple little gestures, making it all as lightweight as possible, is, I think, very powerful. And it's the same way with the comments. We made the comments very quick and easy, so it's not like a blog comment where you're going to write a big essay. We actually, and this may or may not have been the right thing, but we actually didn't even allow like new lines, line breaks. You would just hit enter and it would post the comment because we wanted it to be very quick and lightweight. And I think that is probably the future of a lot of the upcoming communication mediums or whatever, things that become popular, is making it easier to do these really lightweight, kind of spontaneous, real-time conversations. And if you look back, like one of my favorite things to think about, and it's obviously like not a new technology, but it surprises me every time I think about it, is SMS. If you just kind of as a mental exercise, imagine going back maybe 20 years and telling people, yes, in the future, everyone will carry a telephone in their pocket, but they won't make voice calls. Instead, they're going to type on a tiny little keyboard. They use like messages to each other. And even though the voice is basically free, these things are going to cost 15 cents each. And that's like how it's going to be. It would sound insane, right? So I think an interesting model is just to ask yourself, like, why is that so popular? Why is that so powerful? And the answer is just that it's very lightweight. It's just the right level of interruption, right? Like my phone buzzes. I know I got an SMS, but I don't have to like stop and talk to the person and set up a whole, oh, how are you doing today? You know, the weather's good. And so it's much more lightweight, and I think we're going to see more of that. And it's the same pattern on Facebook or Twitter, where very lightweight ways for people to stay connected. And that's really good because it makes it easier for you to stay connected to more people, and that just makes the world a little more connected and creates greater social context.
I think that's a great observation. There's a little bit of a trade-off. You might not get as deep, but you can stay connected to more.
Right, but I think that sometimes people criticize it as being too shallow, but that hasn't been my experience. I think what it does is it creates the context for deeper discussions later on. So then if I run into my friend, in person, and maybe last week I saw him post something on Facebook about, his baby has a cold or something. And then right away I've got that little bit of context. I'm like, oh, is your daughter feeling better? How are things going there? Instead of, starting off, oh, how are things? Again, it gets you deeper into the conversation faster. And so I think it really helps people stay more connected in a more personal and genuine way.
Yeah, I found that too. It's one of the things I like about these services. You're right there with people.
Right.
You just dive right in. So let's talk about your investing a little bit. What are you seeing that's most interesting in companies these days, and what are you looking for?
I don't have any formula. To me, it's a very intuitive kind of process, but the thing I really want to know is why. Why do they care? If people just say, I'm starting this company because I think it's going to make me rich, I think that's like a pretty bad sign. I think the companies that are most influential and ultimately most successful are the ones that are aiming for impact, the ones that actually really care about the world and the influence they've had on the world. And so that's also something I guess I've learned just from watching both inside of Google and Facebook is I think people don't even realize the extent to which both of those companies are completely, it really is backed by a vision and a mission of the founders where they really do care about what they're doing. And it's reflected in a lot of the decisions. And you don't see that from the outside necessarily. Like people say, oh, they did this because of, they want to boost revenue or something. But and a lot of times it doesn't even make sense, from that perspective. But if you actually know the personalities and like what they're thinking, and like at Google, it's all about information and computers and making everything really fast. And at Facebook, it's the sharing and the connection and all of that. The things that they're doing make a lot of sense. And also, I think that really gives the company a lot of direction. Like you can understand why they're doing the things they're doing, and it that mission, I think, motivates people. And it provides purpose. And so back to your actual question, which was about startups, I really like to see that. I like to see that they actually care about what they're doing and the impact that it's going to have on the world, because I think ultimately the success will be a function of the impact on the world.
Any trends you're seeing among them, either in how they're operating, the technologies they're using, the themes that they're working on?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone is moving towards these more lightweight, rapid iteration. There's been a lot of talk about this, and I think Eric will be coming out later to talk more about lean startups. And I think that's a great trend, because it allows you to really discover a lot of the details, get a lot of the details right much sooner. And certainly that was what we tried to do at FriendFeed. We would come up with new features and launch them the same day. And it's I also find it's just like a much more pleasant way to work. I don't think I could ever survive in these sort of old shrink wrap software world where you'd work for 4 years without releasing. That would kill me.
Right, no feedback.
I have a hard time working for like a day without getting it out.
Well, final question here. I'm kind of wondering who you admire on the web. I know a lot of people admire you and follow you, and I've tried to learn from you. Who do you learn from?
I just kind of follow a lot of random links. I think it's surprising. Like just this morning, I was reading some guy's blog that I've never heard of. He's probably famous, but I think he's a writer. But it was really interesting because he was talking about, and I don't even know where it came from. It was just in like a browser tab that I opened 2 weeks ago and forgot about. There's just like really great things out there. And I think I must have followed the link off of someone's friend feed or something like that. And so I think what is so exciting about the web is the fact that almost anyone can become important. It isn't like someone has to be really famous or whatever. It's just they have a message that's very compelling, and suddenly it can reach the whole world.
Well, Paul, on that note, thank you so much.
All right,
Really
thank you.
appreciate your being here. Thank you.